going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, it is a loaded one. First off, we're going to be talking about the Vikes possibly signing a pretty big name defensive tackle, and then we also have an injury update around Ivan Pace Jr., and it is a positive one, and then also a weather update from Seattle that you guys won't want to miss. But before we dive into it, make sure you guys are subscribed here to Vikings Now by Chat Sports. We're closing in on 46,000 subscribers. Just need 186 more of you guys to hit that sub button, so don't miss a thing. Help us out here, and maybe we could hit 46K before kickoff this Sunday in Seattle. But the defensive tackle the Vikes could sign is actually Calias Campbell. Now, funny enough, when I was talking about trade targets for the Vikings a couple months ago, I had Calias Campbell very high up on my list because I thought you would maybe be able to get him for a 6th, 7th round pick. But Barry Jackson, a very tapped-in beat reporter for the Dolphins, said whether Calias Campbell will finish the season here is fluid. We'll be here at least as long as they are in playoff contention. But if the Finns are eliminated, Dolphins releasing him to join a contender is still in play. Now, for the Vikings' perspective of this whole thing, if you could bring in Calias Campbell, I think it would be huge. Now, this is a guy, he has beaten Father Time. I think he's 37, 38 years old right now, and he's still incredibly productive. Now, I don't know what's more impressive, Calias Campbell at age 38 doing what he's doing at defensive line, or a guy like LeBron in the NBA playing at 41 years old. But, there's no doubt Calias Campbell is still a very productive player. I mean, last season still had 6.5 sacks, 2022, 5.5. And, I don't think Calias is a complete needle mover. Like, it's not like you're adding like this blue chip, star defensive tackle, but I think he's one of those guys on key downs, he will make big plays because he wants to go get a Super Bowl ring. He's going to be jazzed up if he does end up joining the Minnesota Vikings. And let's just say it's 3rd and 7. You got Flores running that typical mug look, 7, 8 guys lined up, and you see Calais, Grenard, Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, Patrick Jones. I mean, you could have an elite 5 you could put down on the defensive line. Plus, you just add in Cashman, Metellus. You really never know who's coming. So I would love Calias Campbell, and he's actually having a great year. PFF has graded him out very, very well. His overall grade, 83.4. That is 7th among all defensive tackles. Pass rush grade, 67.3. That's 47th. But right there, that's the kicker. The run defense, 86.6. And if we're taking a look, who are the 3 other teams in the NFC that are going to be competing with the Minnesota Vikings? It's the Packers, it's the Lions, and it's the Eagles. What is all of those teams' bread and butter? It is running the football. It's being a physical team. And the one gripe I will have with a Kevin O'Connell team is they are more of a finesse football team. They're trying to outsmart you. They're not trying to beat you in the trenches. But you add a guy like Calias Campbell, 6'7", just walking off the bus with him would be a huge upgrade for the Vikes. So hopefully they bring him in. I think it'd be a great signing. But I'll ask you guys this. Would you sign Calias Campbell? What say you? Give me an S for sign or a P for pass down below in the comment section. I'm all in on it. I think this would be a big time pickup for the Minnesota Vikings. So, hey, hopefully the Dolphins get eliminated this weekend, and maybe Calias Campbell could sign with the Vikings, and that would just be great news for us. But we'll dive into the Ivan Pace injury update here in a second. But first, I do want to give a massive shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. Now, if you guys head to factormeals.com/50VikingsChat, you guys will get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50VikingsChat at factormeals.com/50VikingsChat to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active. Now, notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do list aren't. Power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner and anything in between, Factor has easy options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like your routine or enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. So don't let the shorter days slow you down. Stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. So head to factormeals.com/50VikingsChat and use code 50VikingsChat to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50VikingsChat at factormeals.com/50VikingsChat to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active. I got that link for you guys in the comments section and description of today's show. But seriously, give them a look. You guys won't regret it. And shout out to Factor for sponsoring today's edition of Vikings Now. All right, some great news for us Vikings fans. Ivan Pace Jr., we got an injury update around him that he will be ready to roll Week 17 versus the Green Bay Packers. And this is massive for the Vikings defense because I think we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and we'll talk about it here in a second, the run defense has not been up to par of the standard they set early on in the season. But Kevin O'Connell, he weighed in on it. He said he's doing really well, probably ahead of the timeline that we maybe initially have thought. He will be ready to roll when he's available to come off IR, I believe. And, for the Vikings, like we were mentioning, you got the Packers and the Lions to round out your year. They're both going to want to run the football. And, over the last 3 weeks, even though the Vikings, as a total on the year, they have the second best run defense in the league, I think this is a very concerning trend. Like, first off, teams are trying to come into your building when you're at home and run the football. I mean, the Cardinals, 31 carries, Falcons, 32, Bears, 30 carries. And also the Cardinals and Falcons both ran for over 150 yards. And then the Bears, I mean, I was almost shocked at how committed the Bears were to the run on Monday Night Football. But, still, adding a guy like Pace back, I think it could be huge. And, he was having an awesome season before he got hurt. Obviously, he had that big-time fumble recovery, scoop and score against the Lions late in the fourth quarter in a game the Vikings should have won. But, I think the combination of Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace is a perfect yin and yang because Cashman is that elite communicator. He's kind of, thinking a little bit more out there on the football field than Pace, but Pace is just, he plays like a chicken with his head cut off. Like he's just running into the offensive lineman. He's putting his head down. I mean, he is just truly a wrecking ball at the linebacker position. And with the Packers and Lions just around the corner, man, I mean, getting a positive injury update on Ivan Pace Jr. is absolutely massive. Because I would be concerned. Week 17, Green Bay coming into your house. What is the number one way you can, silence a crowd? You start running the football, and with the way Josh Jacobs and that offensive line is playing, having Ivan Pace Jr. will be massive. So hopefully Cashman, Pace, and maybe even Calias Campbell on the Minnesota Vikings could help them out in Week 17 and 18. But let's show him some love. Number 0. Type his jersey number down below in the comments section as truly one of my favorite players to watch on this Vikings team. He is just a very unique linebacker. So show him some love down below. Type those zeros. But we do have a little weather update, first weather update of the year. But in Seattle this Sunday, it will be a high of 49, and there is a 60% chance of rain this weekend. And I will say this, I absolutely love it. I want some gritty football. It's going to be cold. It's going to be wet. And in terms of the Vikings, like I understand there's probably some people who think Sam Darnold can't play outside. I think just, his big-time arm, he can cut through the winds. I mean, 6'3", 240 pounds. Like, I think actually Sam Darnold could be a great quarterback in, poor weather. And also the Vikings haven't really played in poor weather so far this season. And they might have to in the playoffs. Now, I've came out and said I think the Vikings will get the number 1 seed. I think they'll win out for the rest of the season. But let's just say you don't, and you have to go to Philly, NFC Championship round, or, somehow if you end up in Green Bay, if it's like that's the 5-6 NFC Championship, or you got to go the Lambeau, it could be poor weather. So you have a great test this weekend. And you know who I'm looking at? I'm looking at the big fellas up front, the offensive line. Now, Brian O'Neill, thank goodness he ended up being okay. That was definitely a massive scare for this Vikings team past Monday night, but he's ready to roll. Garrett Bradbury, he's been okay. Blake Brandel has been terrible over the last couple of weeks, so hopefully he's able to pick his game back up. And then Cam Robinson, pre-snap penalties, definitely an issue, but he's been overall pretty solid for the Vikings so far. So I'm looking at also Sam Darnold here. Saw a couple of people on Twitter saying I'm nervous if Sam Darnold has to go play outside. I just don't really understand that. He's 6'3", 225 pounds. He's got a rocket of an arm. Like that style and that archetype of quarterback are the type of QBs that can go and play very, very well outdoors. So I'm not really too worried about it. And also this guy, Aaron Jones, he is it's really impressed me over the last couple of weeks. And the best part is he hasn't gotten over 20 carries since the last time since when the Vikings played in Chicago. So they're trying to keep him a little fresh here, but still already up to 215 carries on the year. Not ideal, but also every game from here on out is a playoff game. I don't care about too many carries for Aaron Jones anymore. I was saying I want to see Akers get more involved. Honestly, at this point, it's all hands on deck. Get number 33 the football. And, I would actually love a game this weekend, Vikings versus Seahawks where Darnold throws the ball like, let's just say 15, 20 times, and this guy right here gets like 30 carries for 150 yards. If I had to pick an outcome of a game, I think that would be my ideal outcome for Vikings Seahawks this weekend. But speaking of that game, if you guys want the Vikes to move to 13-2 and beat the Seahawks this Sunday, give me a skull down below in the comments section. And also, I'm on Twitter. @PatSeeps is the Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. But see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.